Perigin. It's dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the final round of the Pro Street Stock Series here at Phoenix International Raceway, sponsored by Tri-E-Coolers. My name is Jacob Fescannon, and I am here to bring you all of the action tonight in 1080p 60 frames per second. We've got a grid of 14 drivers ready to do battle around this 1.01 mile track. They are going to be getting gridded up here relatively soon for everybody. Got a good field as the drivers start to make their way out onto the track. Going to be getting ready to line up for another exciting battle tonight. This is the final round for everybody, so there's plenty of battles left to be settled, plenty of scores left to be settled, and plenty of points and money for all these drivers to earn. Let's take a look at the grid and see where they all line up today. We've got, starting on the pole, the 99 of Tyler McRae. On his outside is going to be the 19 of Blake Wynn. The inside is going to be the 36 of Steven Rex. Outside of row 2, starting 4th, will be the 007 of Jeff Edgar. Starting in 5th tonight will be the 17 of James Silvers. And outside of him, starting 6th, will be Patrick Sullivan in the 16. Inside of row number 4, we've got the 06 of John Friley. Outside of row 4, starting in 8th, is going to be the 45 of Jason Gardner. I've got Zach Rogers in the 12 on the inside of row 5, starting 9th, and outside is going to be the 84 of Michael Vandermeed. We are going back to row number 6, to pick up the 22 of Sean Patrick, starting in 11th, and starting in 12th. Outside of him in row 12 is going to be the 77 of Tyler Evans. Bring your back to the last two starters of our evening. We've got the 553 of Timothy Johnston starting on inside of row 7 and 13th, and outside of him is going to be the 355 of Spencer Breslin, rolling off the field in 14th. Drivers are going to be making their way around for 2 pace laps behind the pace car. Actually, I believe it will be just 1, so we are going to be getting ready to go relatively soon. 150 laps here, 40% fuel allotment, 3 sets of tires in the pits for them, and no fast repairs. So these drivers are going to have to try to keep it as clean as they possibly can if they want to finish near the front tonight. This is on the old Phoenix configuration, so turns are a little bit less banked. Don't have the full pavement to the inside through the dog leg, coming into what is now going to be turn number 1 for these drivers to go, and pace cars off, and they are on their way rolling. Got drivers off the grid. McRae's on the inside of Blake Wynn, the 19. We're going to see how these drivers can take it side by side through 1 and 2 as they work their way onto the back stretch. Still side by side as they work their way down the backstretch through the kink. You've got 99 of McRae on the inside, the 19 of Blake Wynn on the outside, working their way side by side through the middle of 3 and 4. Going to come off of turn 4 side by side. Blake Wynn's going to try to take that outside line, get a little bit of a run, and lead lap 1 as they go by. Tyler McCrae is going to take it on the inside as they go through the middle of 1 and 2. Going to try to clear up in front of Blake Wynn, so they go single file down the backstretch as they go into turn 3. Looks like a little bit of give and take to start. Blake Wynn choosing to stay behind the 99 of McCrae. Understand this is only lap 2 of 150. These drivers have a long, long way to go. McCrae leads Blake Wynn down as they complete lap 2, working lap 3. That time by a 31.92 from Tyler McCrae to a 32.08 for the 19 of Blake Wynn. Work our way back through the field. See how everybody is doing. We've got drivers starting to get spread out, but some battles going on throughout the field. You can see Steven Ricks working to the outside as the 007 of Jeff Edgar tries to get by him on the front stretch. He dives it down to the inside of turn number 1, works to his inside as they exit out of turn number 2, and he's got the inside line. You've also got the 16 of Patrick Sullivan trying to follow up behind Jeff Edgar as they work their way into 3 and 4. Steven Rex kind of stuck on that high side and just having to choose when he wants to try to fight back down for that inside line. You can see just behind him, you've got the 17 of James Silvers and the 12 of Zach Rogers trying to work their way up the field. They're both running 6th and 7th as they appear on the track. Tyler McCrae's been able to pull out a little bit, about a quarter of a second ahead of the 19 of Blake Wynn, so we're going to keep it here on this battle. This is one of your better ones on the track. You can see Jeff Edgar leading this, what is a 4-car pack right now, with the Zach Rogers and the 12 trying to close up. And just behind him, you also have the 84 of Michael Vandermeed trying to tighten his way up to this group of drivers running right now 3rd through 6th on the track. We could make that a 6-car battle. Everybody's kind of content to ride out single file right away. I think you may see some drivers trying to work some tire saving as the race goes on, as well as fuel savings. Gap's tightened up a little bit back in the front. You can see Blake Wynn trying to close back down on the 99 of Tyler McCrae as they work lap 7 of 150. Blake Wynn taking a little bit of a higher entry into turn 1, trying to cut down, get a little bit of a lower exit out of turn 2 as they go down to the backstretch. She takes a quick look to the inside, not quite able to do it through the kink on the backstretch. Choosing to stay in line with Tyler McCrae through turn 3 and 4. Gap sitting right around a 1/10 and a half to just under 2/10 as they work their way down the front stretch to complete lap 7. You can see he's inching closer. He's able to get that draft down the back stretch. Closes it up a little bit there out of turn 2 as they work their way down the back stretch. Got Jeff Edgar waiting behind them. He's about 4/10 back of Blake Wynn. Just watching to see if these two may have any contact or may have any problems that he can try to jump in and take advantage of as they work their way back onto the front stretch. Good battle between these two up front. Gap is closed back down. Blake Wynn really trying to give it his all. Last time by about 0.02 of a second faster than Tyler McCrae. Jeff Edgar closing up the gap as well. He's now about 0.3 back of Blake Wynn. Two drivers work their way through 3 and 4. Jeff Edgar trying to work his way up there, but everybody really trying to tighten it up. A little bit of a gap between Jeff Edgar and the 16 of Patrick Sullivan, but really your front 7 drivers are all within 2 seconds of each other on the track. So still pretty close racing here as they work lap 10 of 150, but certainly a long, long way to go. You can see it's almost a 3-car breakaway up front, though, as Jeff Edgar has really closed it down. We've only got 0.4 separating the top 3 drivers now as they work their way back onto the front stretch. Tyler McCrae breaks away a little bit from Blake Wynn that time. About equal distance separating McCrae, Wynn, and Edgar. Wynn gets a little bit of a better run down the backstretch, tries to close up to the back end of McRae going into turn 3. And you can see Patrick Sullivan's lurking back there in the background trying to work his way up. Stephen Rex is staying glued to the back bumper of the 16. Works his way around. But up front, we've still got a 2-car battle as Tyler McRae in the 99 and Blake Wynn in the 19 work their way. They're going to have slower traffic up front. That looks like that is the 77 of Tyler Evans, who may have some front-end damage on the left front there, certainly off the pace. Look to see if he gives them the high line as they go down the front stretch, entering into turn number 1. Blake Wynn falls back a little bit from Tyler McRae there that time through 1 and 2. Jeff Edgar tries to tighten up a little bit to the back end of Blake Wynn. Keep it on this front 3 as they are approaching the 77 of Tyler Evans. Gets a little loose there off of turn number 4. He's going to hold the high side as they work their way down the front stretch into 1 and 2. Front 3 drivers are going to work their way to the bottom side to get by Evans. Evans holds a high line. Oh, a little bit of contact there between the 77 of Evans and the 007 of Edgar. He gets out of the way. Doesn't seem like any harm yet, other than it just cost Edgar just a little bit of time to the back end of Blake Wynn. These street stocks can take a bit of a beating without suffering any kind of performance loss. So you can get away with a little bit of side-by-side contact like that and not have it affect your day. Drivers working lap 15 of 150. So they are in the middle of 1 and 2. Wynn trying to close up to the back end of Evans once again. He keeps trying to cut down to the bottom and the kink look a little bit lower, but Evans doing a great job protecting that preferred line. Just not giving Blake Wynn any room to try to get by him and not making any mistakes to give Wynn the chance to get by. Nose to tail as they work their way down the front stretch again. You can see Blake Wynn certainly trying to look to the inside to try to find his way around. It also allows Jeff Edgar and the 007 to close back up. Patrick Sullivan lurking his way back up there, trying to close the gap back to these front 3. Right now, these front 3 are the class of the field early going in this one tonight. Would expect to see all these drivers try to go somewhere in the area of 50 to 55 laps on fuel if it goes green the whole way. I think they're going to be stopping for fuel sooner than they're going to be stopping for tires, but I'm sure they will appreciate the fresh rubber when they get a chance to get pit stops. As Phoenix in this configuration can certainly wear out tires, especially that right front, depending on how hard you drive it into the corners. As I say that, Tyler McRae takes a little bit of a higher entry, a little bit of a lower exit through 3 and 4. Blake Wynn's able to close up a little bit, but McRae may be starting to do that if he's feeling his car tighten up at all. Looks like Blake Wynn's giving Tyler McRae a little bit of a distance, getting into the entries of the corner, backing off a little bit. I think he might be trying to time a little bit of a better run, get back to the throttle a little bit sooner than McRae might be able to. It's an effort to try to see if he can find some sort of room to get by McRae. But McRae is certainly leading a good battle so far. But we've got Patrick Sullivan and Stephen Rex closing back up to this gap. Also the 17 of James Rogers. All drivers right now are about a 0.2 to a quarter of a second apart from each other. And we've only got about 1.3 seconds separating the front 6. You can see them all running in a line as they work their way down the backstretch, approaching the entry of turn number 3. All these drivers are trying to position their way to see if they can get towards the front and have a better day, improve from where they may have started. 3 drivers right now have been able to improve 2 positions from their starting spot, and your big loser right now is the 45 of Jason Gardner, who's lost 3 spots from the start of the race. Just as I say that, you get another 3-car breakaway in the front, and then we've got a separate 3-car pack about 3/10 back, 2/10 back or so from these front 3. Patrick Sullivan's leading, but Jeff Edgar has a little bit of an issue that time through 3 and 4. Loses the backside of Blake Wynn. It's going to bring everybody from 3rd on back to 6th close together. James Silvers works his way by the 36 of Stephen Rex. You can see that sign out of turn number 2 down on the backstretch. So he's going to set his sights on the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. But still a nose-to-tail battle up here at the front. Keep an eye on that, but we will work our way back a little bit here. Focus on these next 4 cars. You've got this 4-car pack led by the 007 of Jeff Edgar, the 16 of Patrick Sullivan, 17 of James Silvers, and then bringing up the back of it is the 36 of Stephen Rex. You can see lurking back there a little bit is the 12 of Zach Rogers and the 84 of Michael Vandermeed, but not quite there yet to closing down the run at about the same lap times as Silvers and Rex, so tough to find any ground when you're running similar lap times as the drivers in front of you. They may be content to just kind of ride and hold their positions and save tires, though. Jeff Edgar's trying to break away, close back up to the backside of Blake Wynn, but you see a big run into turn number 1 by the 16 of Sullivan, closes that gap up as well. Good battle up here between these 6 drivers. All of them running single file, but all looking to try to position themselves to take advantage of any mistake that a driver in front might make or try to get a little bit of a better line in the corner. Work their way down into turn 1. You can see James Silvers trying to look to the inside of the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. Not quite there. May have been trying to play a little bit of a psychological move on the 16 of Sullivan to get him to shoot up the track. James could take that preferred inside line. We'll see if he tries to make the same attempt this time going into turn 3. Looks like he dives it in a bit deeper, but is content to stay on the back bumper of Patrick Sullivan. He's trying to look a little bit lower this time down the front stretch, not quite able to do it. We'll see if he stays in line to get that draft or if he tries to look back to the inside again as they go into turn 1. Nose to tail for the front 5, all within about a quarter length to a half a quarter length of each other. The 36 of Stephen Rex is not very far behind this group either. He's about 3/10 back from the 17 of James Silvers. James Silvers looks to the inside this time of Patrick Sullivan as they work their way through turn 3. Side by side as they come out of turn 4 onto the front stretch. See who has the advantage. Will it be Silvers with the inside line or will it be Patrick Sullivan on the outside? That time by Patrick Sullivan, but James Silvers has the preferred entry into turn number 1. He works his way to the inside. Sullivan certainly putting up a hard fight on the outside, though, not wanting to give up that 4th place position yet. You can see these two continuing to battle side by side, staying off of each other, though, so having a very respectful race. Looks like Silvers is going to get the advantage this time out of turn number 4. Gets a little loose there, not quite able to clear, and now he does clear Patrick Sullivan as he works his way into 4th place. This time down the front stretch. He's going to set his sights on the 007 of Jeff Edgar, see if he can close that gap up. We'll see if Stephen Rex can try to get back to Patrick Sullivan, as Patrick Sullivan may be having a bit of an issue. Might have wore out that right front a little bit, or heated it up and may be a bit off the grip compared to the drivers around him, and he may just be choosing to relax a little bit now that Silvers got by him. But you see the 36 of Stephen Rex and the dropping bombs street stock closing up to the back end of Sullivan. Also bring in the 12 of Zach Rogers just behind Rex as well as they work their way out of turn number 2. Tyler McRae still leading the front. Pretty good nose to tail pack right here for the top 4. All drivers are about 1/10 and a half from each other. That represents about a half a car length to a quarter car length on the track. Lap times are in the low 32s this time by. They've dropped about 4/10 from where they were their fastest at the beginning of the run. You can see Silvers trying to look to the inside of the 007 of Jeff Edgar as they work off a turn 2 down the backstretch. Silvers not quite there to be able to take that inside line away. We'll see if he tries to dive back to the bottom this time into turn 3. Looks like he's just far enough back that he can't quite get there, so he's going to choose to run that inside line, see if he can position himself for another shot at it. Again, going to take the inside line going into turn 1. Let's see if he can make it stick. Is he going to wash up into Edgar at all? He does a good job keeping it off. Washed up a little bit, but still keeping it off of him. They run side by side. He gets a little squiggly there out of turn 2 down the back stretch. It allows Edgar to get a little bit more of a run on the outside as they go into turn 3, but still side-by-side battle for 3rd and 4th place on the track between James Silvers in the 17 and Jeff Edgar on the 007. A little bit of contact there with James Silvers. Sends Edgar up a little bit. Shoots James Silvers way down the track. He has to bring it back in to get a entry into turn 1. We'll see if that stalls him out a little bit. You can see he's to about the door right now. Gets a good run off of turn 2. Jeff Edgar may have had a bit of an issue getting out of turn 2 there down the backstretch. Give the advantage this time to James Silvers, but still side by side. He's not quite clear of him yet. Jeff Edgar looks to try to pinch him down, see if he can stall some of that momentum of Silver's machine working off of turn 4, prevent him from clearing him. He's able to do a good job that time as they run side by side across the line. James Silver's still holding that preferred line into the corner, but Jeff Edgar putting up a very, very good fight on the outside. Both drivers still running each other very, very clean so far. Great battle here on track for 3rd and 4th. It's also allowed the 16 of Patrick Sullivan to close back up as he's just watching this battle, trying to pick which lane he may decide to go. We'll see if he sticks with his team alliance with the 007 of Jeff Edgar, or if he chooses to try to get to the inside of him and pick up a position. Silver's able to clear Edgar that time through 3 and 4, run him nose to tail through turn number 1. But just as I say that, Jeff Edgar tries to dive to the inside of Silver's going into 1. Not able to make it stick, falls back. He's about a car length behind of Silvers as they work their way down the back stretch. I'm going to sort that out. 3 and 4 on the track. Go back to the front here. Tyler McRae still has a 0.2 of a second lead over the 19 of Blake when these two have stayed in these two positions since the drop of the green flag. Gap's gone back and forth on each other, but both have run a very good race so far. Both seem to be content to ride in their respective positions and just continue to log laps, work their way through the early stages of this race. Been able to complete 33 laps so far under green. This time by will be lap 34 in the books, starting lap 35. Again, I would expect to see pit stops somewhere in the next 15 to 20 laps or so. Tyler McRae able to extend the gap out by about 0.5 that time through turn 1 and 2 as they work their way down the backstretch. Blake Wynn gets just a little bit of a better run. Last time by, though, running identical lap times. As I say it, though, your top 11 drivers last time by were only separated by just over 0.1 on the track for the lap time. So very, very close racing amongst all 11, even though the gaps have widened out. All drivers clicking pretty similar lap times, which is also going to make it tough for guys to make up time, but the guys that are around each other, it's certainly going to bring some very good battles. Switch back as we've got a battle on track between the 12 of Zach Rogers, the 84 of Michael Vandermeet, and the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. You can see Patrick Sullivan getting shuffled to the outside, losing that preferred lane as Rogers and Vandermeet are able to take that line away from him, move those two up to 5th and 6th on the grid. Steven Rex in the 36 taking a shot to the inside of Sullivan to get by, and Vandermeet goes to the inside of Zach Rogers. So we've got 2x2 for 5th through 8th on the track as they work their way down the back stretch, approaching the entry of turn number 3. Give the advantage to the inside line. Vandermeet's looking to clear in front of the 12 of Zach Rogers. Steven Rex looking to clear in front of the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. Seems right now all four are content to get themselves side by side, or single file, excuse me. Steven Rex trying to close up to the back of Zach Rogers, though. May smell a bit of weakness out of Rogers and be ready to pounce, try to take that position away, but Rogers gets a good run out of turn 2 down the backstretch to pull away a bit from Steven Rex. Got a good battle shaping up here, though, as they are also trying to close back up to the 007 of Jeff Edgar. Michael Vandermeet's only about 0.2 a second behind Jeff Edgar as they work their way into turn 1 on lap 39. Got about a 4/10 gap up front for Tyler McRae over Blake Wynn, so we're going to keep it on this. But we've got a good battle between the 19 of Blake Wynn and the 17 of James Silvers. Silvers trying to work his way up towards the front. Seeing if he can try to get that inside line of Blake Wynn. Blake Wynn going to be aware of that. Cuts just below the yellow line on the apron to try to protect that as much as he can. Prevent James Silvers from having any shot at trying to get underneath him. But a very good battle here on track as Silvers gets a run out of turn 2. Gets a little bit loose. Looks to the inside. We'll see if he can force 19 of Blake Wynn up the track as they work their way into turn 3 side by side. Blake Wynn tries to pinch James Silvers down, keep his momentum off of turn 4 down. Silvers a little loose. They run side by side, give it to the 17 of Silvers that time by the line, but Blake Wynn works his way right back by him side by side as they work their way out of turn 2 down the backstretch. See if James Silvers can get enough momentum to clear Blake Wynn this time by. Still side by side, Blake Wynn just holding on to the outside, not allowing James Silvers to get that preferred line. Silvers runs just a little bit of a higher entry, then cuts back down to the yellow line, able to clear him that time. But let's see if Blake Wynn's going to try a crossover and look to the inside as they go down the front stretch. Certainly is. He's going to have the preferred line going into turn 1. Side by side again. Flip the roles this time with the 19 of Blake Wynn on the inside and the 17 of James Silvers on the outside. They're running almost even as they work their way down the backstretch. Great battles. This is also going to allow the 84 of Vandermeet and 12 of Zach Rogers try to close up, but these two are not concerned with that at the moment. They are just concerned with a very good, hard battle for second and third on the track. Almost touching doors as they work their way off of turn 4 down the front stretch. James Silvers has the advantage that time across the line, but Blake Wynn trying to hold that inside line. Silvers gets a little bit of better run that time off of turn 2 down the backstretch and able to clear him. So move James Silvers in the 17 up to second on his own, and the 19 of Blake Wynn back to third. You can see Vandermeet back there in the 84 and the 12 of Zach Rogers trying to close their way up to the back end of Blake Wynn. They've been about 2/10 faster with the side-by-side battle that was going on between Silvers and Wynn that allows them to close up this time by about a quarter of a second of a difference in lap times. Vandermeet's got about 4/10 to close up, though, to get to the back end of Blake Wynn. We'll see if he can do that. Silvers sets his sights on Tyler McRae as well. So we've got good battles all around the track. Just as you thought drivers were kind of content to ride, certainly you can see some of the drivers sitting in the back, working their way towards the front, may have been choosing to save tires for the first half or so of this fuel run. And now we're choosing to try to go a little bit harder. Michael Vandermeet doing a good job closing up. He gets loose that time off of turn 2 down the backstretch, but he works his way to the inside of Blake Wynn. Zach Rogers going to try to follow suit, clear him as they go into turn 3, put the 84 of Vandermeet up to third and the 12 of Rogers up to fourth, move the 19 of Blake Wynn back to fifth on track. These three run single file as they work their way down the front stretch on lap 46 of 150. Great battles up front. About an 8/10 gap separates Tyler McRae. Excuse me, it's about a quarter of a second gap separating Tyler McRae and James Silvers. James Silvers certainly on the move. One of the fastest cars on the track the last time by. He was about a 10.5 faster than the 99 of Tyler McRae, so he's certainly seeming to push a bit harder right now, trying to close his way up. 10.5 separates the two that time by the line. James Silvers taking that little bit of a higher entry, a little bit of a later apex, trying to get a little bit more of a run off the corner. Tyler McRae favoring the little bit of a earlier entry and a little bit of a higher exit off of the corner. Put James Silver right on the back bumper of the 99 of Tyler McRae as he works his way down through 3 and 4. Those two are almost nose to tail. These two have run each other plenty of time through these leagues, so they understand how to run each other. Silvers gets a run down the front stretch, tries to look to the inside of McRae. Tyler McRae going to just give it up. I think he understands that Silvers has got a bit of a faster car, so he's going to try to save what he can and not lose too much time to the 84 Vandermeer. So we say that we've got 2 cars on pit road to start the green flag pit stops. That is the 36 of Steven Rex and the 553 of Timothy Johnston. Maybe trying to short pit to get some fresh tires and see if they can take advantage of that lap time difference when they come out compared to these front runners. Pit stops here in these street stocks for a full tank of fuel and 4 tires can take in excess of 50 seconds, as it is a solo job on pit road out of a old school 6-gallon gas can, not the high flow gas cans you are used to in the NASCAR series. But the 45 of Jason Garner also on the pit road. You can see Silvers breaks off into pits. 84 of Vandermeer and the 12 of Zach Rogers all follow behind him. Blake Wynn in the 19 also on the pits. That's going to leave Tyler McRae up in front. He's got about a 3-second gap over Patrick Sullivan. Sullivan, Edgar, and Sean Patrick in the 22 are your top 4. All 4 still on their first set. All other drivers have either pitted or are on pit road now as we speak. So you're starting to see that pit strategy come into play. We'll see if this forces the leaders. Yes, Tyler McRae does peel his way off onto pit road. That's going to leave Patrick Sullivan still out there as he's working lap 51 of 150 tonight. Jeff Edgar and Sean Patrick also work their way onto pit road, so leave the 16 of Patrick Sullivan as the only driver left on the track to have not pitted. We'll watch him and see how these pit stops cycle their way through, see who comes out ahead of who as they work their way through. See if Sullivan chooses to continue to stay out, and as I say that, he does continue to stay out, so looks like he's going to be trying to push this as long as he can. See if he can put the field a full lap down as he works his way through 1 and 2 this time. Does have everybody a full lap down, but of course they will be able to try to gain on him as they unlap themselves when he comes into pits. We'll see how long he can stretch it out here for. Would expect to see him next time in, and you see him slowing down, so he is on his way back in. Going to pick up James Silvers as he is the lead car of those out of pit road. He's leading the group of Silvers, the 84 Vandermeer, and the 12 of Zach Rogers as they work their way down the front stretch. Going to be working their way by Tyler McRae and Jeff Edgar, who are just getting ready to leave pit road. Tyler McRae is on his way out, and Jeff Edgar completes his stop as well. So that's going to put James Silvers as the front runner once he works his way back by Patrick Sullivan. He's got to complete one more lap to get unlapped to Sullivan, so we'll see, but that should put him as your race leader as all the green flag stops cycle their way through. Everybody still scored as a lap down, but as Sullivan still continues to sit on pit road, Silvers and the rest of the field will be working their way by to put themselves back on the same lap. Once they cycle through, that's going to put Tyler Evans in the 77 as your only car laps down. You can see Silvers with a little bit of a wiggle that time through turn 4 as he works his way off. He and Vandermeer have broken away. They're about a second and a quarter ahead of the 12 of Zach Rogers. That time buys Patrick Sullivan just completes his pit service. Move the Silvers to the lead. The 84 Vandermeer to second. As I say that, the 84 Vandermeer looks his way to the inside of James Silvers through turn 3 and 4. These two may be trying to work some sort of team fuel strategy together, trading spots back and forth so that neither driver sits up front braking the air more. Any driver that's in the front braking the clean air by himself is apt to use more fuel than any of those that are to sit behind and take advantage of the draft. So you may be seeing Vandermeer and Silvers working that strategy back and forth to try to keep themselves on a similar fuel burn rate. Recap your top 5 as we work our way around turn 3 and 4 to complete lap 54 of 150 scheduled here tonight. You've got the 84 of Michael Vandermeer up in first, 17 of James Silvers running in second. We've got the 12, of Zach Rogers running in third. Stephen Rex in the 36 being scored just ahead of the 99 of Tyler McRae. Just behind those two is the 19 of Blake Wynn, and just behind him is the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. Go back a second and a half on the track to the 007 of Jeff Edgar, who is running in 8th on track. You've got the 22 of Jeff Edgar, who is about 4 seconds back from, or excuse me, the 22 of Sean Patrick is about 4 seconds back of the 007 of Edgar. Behind him, another 3 seconds is the 45 of Jason Gardner. You have John Friley in the 006 running in 11th. Spencer Breslin scored as 12th on track. He's just ahead of the 553 of Timothy Johnson. Those two are the last two on the lead lap, and we have the 77 of Tyler Evans, who is 2 laps down, being scored in 14th on track. Work our way back to the front. You could see the 12 of Zach Rogers has closed back up to these three. Looks like these three are potentially going to link up. They are all 3 teammates for Cornerstone Motorsports. Maybe trying to work a similar fuel strategy together and see if they can keep the 3 as a tight-knit pack in order to all allow drivers the equal opportunity to save fuel. They are about just under 3 seconds ahead of the 36 of Stephen Rex. He leads the 3-car pack of Rex, McRae, and Blake Wynn, with Patrick Sullivan in the 16 trying to close his way back up to those 3. These 3 are scored as 4th, 5th, and 6th on track. Rex and McRae are teammates on Dropping Bombs Racing. Blake Wynn is filling in for the Fastlane Motorsports group this evening. It's been a fairly somewhat regular on this series this season, having pretty good success in most races that he has run as well. Keep it on this battle, see if these 3 are all content to do the same thing as the front 3, if everybody's kind of getting into the middle stages of the race where they just want to ride and save fuel, as well as try to work their way to the closing stages of the race without any issues. These 2 packs are separated by about 1 3/4 on the track. These 3, though, are closing their way up to the 3 of the Cornerstone Motorsports group. Last time by about 3/10 of a difference in lap times. We'll see what it is this time by. Still about 3/10, just under it. So looks like these 3 are trying to push a little bit harder, see if they can close their way back up and not lose touch with that front 3. Just as I say that, Tyler McRae having a bit of, or Stephen Rex having a bit of connection issues. You can see him disappearing there. That's what we call blinking, where anytime that the transfer of information between the driver's computer and the iRacing servers lags or has a gap, you'll see the driver disappear momentarily from the track and then reappear. Too many times, if it happens, drivers can often be removed in leagues, or if it happens for far long enough, then they can actually be able to disappear from the race and lose their position on track as well. It looks like he's in a better spot, a little bit more stable on the track in terms of the connection. But leading that front 3 as they are working their way, they've cut the gap down to about 1 second behind the 84 of Zach Rogers. These 3 work their way down the backstretch into turn number 3. Doing a great job here, closing it up again. About 1/10 and a half faster the last time by. You can see the 17 of Silvers switching the lead with the 84 of Michael Vandermeed. I think that's still that fuel strategy play that most of these drivers have perfected as this season has gone, to figure out how to best save fuel but still keep themselves in a good front running position. Focus on this group for a little bit as the 3 of Rex, McRae, and Blake Wynn close up. You can see that gap is closed down substantially. Going to potentially have a 6-car battle here on track relatively soon. We'll We'll see if the front three continue with their same pace and let the 28, the 9, or the 36, the 99, and the 19 on by, or if they're going to try to pick up the pace to maintain the front three spots. You can see the 36 of Rex working his way to the inside of the 12 of Zach Rogers. Still single file, but the 36 of Rex working his inside line compared to the outside line of Zach Rogers as they work their way out of turn 2 down the back stretch. We'll see who gets the better run. Right now, advantage to Zach Rogers, but he continues to maintain that outside line as they work their way into turn 3. Stephen Rex trying to move his way up. Tyler McRae in the 99 also trying to take the toe behind the 36 of Rex to take that inside line away from Rogers and move himself up a position. Rogers kind of content to let those two go, knows that he doesn't really have too much of a shot to fight, and it's worth more to fall back in line, put him back to 5th on the track. Rex and McRae are running nose to tail, trying to move themselves up to the back end of the 84 of Vandermeer, and as I say that, Rex works his way to the inside through turn 3 and 4. He's certainly working that inside line hard as they work their way down the front stretch, just off the back bumper, but to the inside of the 84. 99 of McRae is going to stay stuck to the back bumper of the 36 of Stephen Rex. It's going to shuffle Michael Vandermeer to the outside, leave James Silvers as the lone wolf up front. Vandermeer able to get a better run that time through the backstretch into turn 3, so put him back in control of 2nd place. Tyler McRae falls off the back end of Stephen Rex a little bit as well as they work their way out of turn 4 down the back stretch. Close battle though on track 4, 2nd through 4th, as these drivers are all starting to feel the differences in pace and seeing who wants to push and who wants to be a little more patient. You can see it's all content to run side by side as our best battle on track is between the 16 of Patrick Sullivan as he works his way in front of the 12 of Zach Rogers. That's a battle for 6th and 7th on track. Looks like Rogers is kind of content to let everybody have these positions and just run behind and fuel save as they work their way down the backstretch into turn 3 and 4. Silver still leads this pack of 7 cars, though, as they work their way into turn number 3. Great racing up front. Starting to see the 36 of Stephen Rex try to work the outside line to see if he can get by Michael Vandermeer. He gets into the wall a little bit there out of turn 4 down the front stretch. Doesn't seem to slow him up too bad, though, as he runs to the outside of Michael Vandermeer. Gets a bit of a run, but Vandermeer gets a little bit of a better run that time out of turn 2. Not quite able to clear the 36 of Stephen Rex, though. Side-by-side battle for 2nd and 3rd on track. See which lane McRae chooses to pick. So he falls off a little bit from the 36 of Rex and the 84 of Vandermeer. Those two are still locked side by side as they work their way down the front stretch. Vandermeer trying to stay glued to the back bumper of his teammate Silvers in the 17. Using all of the draft that he can to try to get a run. Oh, there's some contact right there through the center of the backstretch by Vandermeer and Rex. Doesn't seem to hurt either one. Both keep it straight and going clean. Great side-by-side battle on track, though, for the 2nd and 3rd position. We'll see who has the advantage this time as they cross the line. Give the advantage to Stephen Rex. But Michael Vandermeer going to work the inside. Tyler McRae kind of shifting between the high side and the low side, just trying to choose which lane he thinks is going to benefit him first. Could see him try to push the 36 of Stephen Rex by the 84 of Vandermeer, but he could also try to get the position for himself and drop to the inside. Great battle up front, though. Still side by side, this time lane swap, put the 36 of Stephen Rex to the inside as they work their way off of turn 2. Vandermeed able to withhold that pressure, gets himself a good run on the outside as he's able to clear the 36 of Stephen Rex. Still nose to tail for the front 7 as they work their way around turn 3 and 4. Getting ready to complete lap 74, start lap 75, so 1 lap away from halfway through this race. Great driving by these drivers so far. You're going to see these front 7 approach the 77 of Tyler Evans. We'll see how easily all of them can work by him. Running nose to tail as they work their way down the front stretch into turn number 1. You can see as they start to approach the 77 of Tyler Evans, who is currently 4 laps down. We'll see if Silvers tries to use him as a draft for as long as possible, or if he tries to get by him as quickly as possible. We'll see how that also stacks up the field, if it does at all. Looks like Silvers looks to run to the inside as they work their way down the backstretch into turn 3. Tyler Evans holds the outside line as the front 7 begin to work their way by him. McRae, the next one, by the inside of the 77 of Evans as Blake Wynn works his way by. We'll take a look at that. As Blake Wynn works by with no problem now. Move Patrick Sullivan to the inside of Evans. You can see McRae looking to the inside of Stephen Rex up front. They get sorted back in line. Sullivan works his way by the 77 of Evans, and Zach Rogers takes the advantage to try to get the run through 3 and 4 that time. Not quite clear of him that time as they work their way down the front stretch, goes into 1. Still has the low line trying to clear by him. It's like he's just struggling to get a bit of a drive off to get by the 77 of Evans. Evans had the early issues, had to pit for an unplanned pit stop early on in the race, and that put him multiple laps down. Everybody works by him, so we'll focus back on the front as we've got the still single file line. The front 6 of Silvers, Vandermeed, Rex, McRae, Wynn, and Sullivan. Zach Rogers just a little bit back, about 3/10 back from Patrick Sullivan. Got held up just a little bit trying to get by Evans, and he's working his way back up to the front 3. But a great job by these drivers all up front. Seems like everybody's kind of content again to find their way in the middle of this run, try to save some fuel and tires, work their way towards their next planned pit stop, which could potentially be the last stop for the evening. But you have seen the 36 of Stephen Rex trying to take advantage of any runs he can get, try to work his way by the 84 of Vandermeed when possible. But certainly seems to have calmed down a little bit from the last 15 laps or so. We'll see how long Silvers wants to continue to maintain the lead up front. Not sure if he's going to want to try to switch positions with Vandermeed at all, or if he's going to be content to keep the lead, not risk giving up that line and having the 36 of Rex and the 99 of McRae work their way to their inside. They are working lap number 82 of 150 this evening. All 81 laps so far have been completed under green. Most of these races this season in the Team Goon Squad Pro Street Stock Series have been clean. We've seen very few cautions across the board this season. allow the drivers to really kind of find the differences in their setups and see who's been good on the long run, as well as try to see who might have the better pit stop strategy or fuel strategy. It's been a mix of trying to push and keep the pace going to keep yourselves running up front, but also finding that fuel savings to minimize your time on pit road. When a gallon of gas takes almost 6 seconds to fill in these cars, and you've got 18 gallons, almost 19 gallons to fill on a pit stop, you try to do all you can to even find a half of a gallon to save, or even a quarter of a gallon to save, as that 2.5 to 3 seconds can translate to a big difference on track. You can see Steven Rex in the 33 trying to look a little high right now on the 84 Vandermeer. He falls back a little bit though this time through the backstretch as they work their way into the entry of 3 and 4. Kind of almost got 3 different groups here within these front 7. You've got the front 2 of Silvers and Vandermeer. You've got the next 2 of Rex and McRae. And then another 3-car group of Wynn, Sullivan, and Rogers. Behind Rogers, it's another second back to Jeff Edgar. He has certainly been trying to close his way back up. He's been about a tenth faster than Zach Rogers, and compared to the rest of the group here, he's been about 2/10 faster. So he's trying to work his way up to this front 7 as quickly as he can. Everybody else on track finds their way pretty spread out. Lap times are in the low 32s as they cross their way to work the start of lap 86 of 150 tonight. You can see Vandermeer falling back just a little bit from the 17 of Silvers as they work their way out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Rex in the 36 and McRae in the 99 fall back a little bit from Vandermeer as well, but they close their way back up. Big run as Vandermeer takes a very high entry, might have overshot the corner that time through 3 and 4. Allows Rex to close up big time as they work their way down the front stretch. Vandermeer works his way to the inside of James Silvers. Not sure if this was a planned maneuver, or if this was just a run that Vandermeer was trying to take on his own behalf. We'll see if Silvers is going to get freight trained and sent to the back. We call freight training when you get shuffled out of a line and a row of cars continues to work their way by you before you can ever get in between any cars to stop losing positions. You can see that's currently happening to Silvers right now as the 36 of Rex and the 99 of McRae work their way to the inside of him as they work out of turn number 2 down the backstretch. Looks like a couple drivers behind are thinking about making this too wide, seeing if they can get any kind of run. You can see the 19 of Blake Wynn kind of taking a bit of a higher entry into turn number 3, as well as the 12 of Zach Rogers trying to cut below the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. James Silvers, though, able to slot in behind the 84 of Michael Vandermeer without losing a position. So put the 84 in the lead, the 17 of Silvers in second. Rex and McRae still running 3rd and 4th on track. You can see Blake Wynn has closed up big time to the back of McRae as they work their way down through 3 and 4. We've got side-by-side racing between Sullivan and Blake Wynn on track for 5th and 6th. Zach Rogers sitting right behind this, trying to see if he can take advantage of this side-by-side action at all. Certainly see the 007 of Jeff Edgar also closing his way up to the back of this group big time. Sullivan able to pull away that time from Blake Wynn and Rogers. Rogers and Wynn work side by side down the back stretch, approaching the entry of turn number 3. Give the advantage that time to Rogers on the entry, but Blake Wynn gets a good run through the middle of 3 and 4. See if he has the advantage coming off, or if Rogers can make that outside line run. Outside line runs also often can provide a little more momentum down the straightaways, but are also much harder on the right front tire. Move Rogers up to 6th as he works his way ahead of Blake Wynn. Jeff Edgar on the 007 slotting his way to the back bumper of Blake Wynn. Tried to make this a 4-car battle for 5th through 8th on track. great battle. You've got the front four of Vandermeed, Silvers, Rex, and McRae separating themselves, and the next four of Sullivan, Rogers, Wynn, and Jeff Edgar on track. Close battle as the front four, or front eight, excuse me, are all separated by just about second and a half on track. You can see side by side as Rogers works his way to the inside of the 16 of Sullivan. Jeff Edgar on the 007 works his way to the inside of Blake Wynn. We'll see if the 16, the 007, the 19 all run clean by each other as they are all teammates on Fastlane Motorsports. That leaves Zach Rogers as the lone ranger for Cornerstone Motorsports in this group of four. Tries to extend a lead a little bit away from Jeff Edgar through turn number 3 as they work their way into turn number 4. But you can see these four are kind of equal distance apart from each other. Focus on Stephen Rex and Tyler McRae, as it looked like Tyler McRae was all over the back of Stephen Rex as they work their way through the front stretch. These two kind of keep having the accordion effects where they compress together, get close together, and then they spread back out, and then they kind of come back together as they work their way around this 1 mile Phoenix Raceway. This is allowing the 84 of Vandermeed and the 17 of Silvers to pull away, just as I say that the 99 of Tyler McRae jumps to the inside to work his way by the 36 of Stephen Rex. Zach Rogers tries to take advantage of it, closes up to the back end of the 36 of Rex, but is not able to get his way to the inside of Rex to take away that preferred inside line. You also saw there, at the bottom of the screen, the 553 of Timothy Johnson pulling off for his second pit stop of the evening. For him, that's going to come on lap number 94. Tyler McRae pulling away from the 36 of Stephen Rex, trying to close his way back up to the back end of James Silvers in the 17, but Zach Rogers is putting on the pressure on the back end of Stephen Rex as they work their way through the middle of 1 and 2. Looks like Rogers gets a little bit of a better run compared to Stephen Rex down the back stretch. Jeff Edgar, though, trying to insert himself into this battle for 4th through 6th on track. He's certainly trying to drive as hard as he can and get there. Rogers looks to the inside of Stephen Rex as they work their way out of turn 4 onto the front stretch side by side. Rogers with the slight advantage, but Stephen Rex still retains 4th as they cross the line. We'll see if Rogers can complete the pass this time through turn 1 and 2. Looks like he gets a better run, and that's going to put him clear of that. Move Jeff Edgar to the inside of Stephen Rex. He's trying to move his way up to 5th on track as well. Clears Stephen Rex that time into turn number 3, so he now runs nose to tail with the 12 of Zach Rogers. Stephen Rex falling back as he is pulling into pit road, so he may have decided that enough was enough and his tires might have been wore out a little bit, or he's trying again to do the short pitting, pit a little bit sooner than the rest of the field and see if he can gain a time advantage once he comes back out on fresh tires. 45 Jason Gardner also on pit road. Front 7 though, front 8 really are still on the same lap, all on the same pit strategy, this time by Blake Wynn just a little bit back. He's about a 10th and a half back, or excuse me, a 2nd and a quarter back of Patrick Sullivan in the 16. He's trying to work his way back up there to join the front 6, but you can see Silvers and McRae running nose to tail. Vandermeed just ahead of them as they lead this pack of 5. Zach Rogers in the 12 trying to close his way back in. And Jeff Edgar trying to do the same thing, trying to make this a 5-car nose to tail freight train. All drivers continuing to stay out on track as they work their way across the line to begin lap 100. Rex completes his pit service. He works his way down the pit road lane to join his way back up. You see him there just in front of the leaders. Vandermeed gets into the wall a little bit. They're all going to work to the high side through the back stretch to get by the 36 of Stephen Rex as he rejoins this fight. Slots himself right in front of the 007 of Edgar. 84 of Vandermeed, 17 of Silvers, 12 of Rogers, and the 007 of Jeff Edgar all into pit road. Leaves McRae in the 99 out. He's got his teammate, the 36 of Stephen Rex, just behind him. Patrick Sullivan also staying out. 22 of Sean Patrick is your only other car left out on track as the 19 of Blake Wynn peels off and enters in pit lane for his second stop of the evening. We'll see if McRae chooses to continue to stay out here and stretch this as long as possible, or if he's going to look to stay out. He does peel it off this time by. That's going to leave Patrick Sullivan as your front runner on track. We did see him go the longest on the first round of pit stops. We'll see if he chooses to use the same strategy this time and how that plays into his favor. Sean Patrick in the 22 also peels off onto pit road, so leave Patrick Sullivan as the only driver left to have not entered pit road for his service. You got the 36 of Stephen Rex, the 45 of Jason Gardner, the 553 of Timothy Johnson, all completed with their service, and Tyler Evans, who is off sequence, still running on track as well. Would expect Tyler Evans to probably be in the next 4 to 7 laps or so if he's going to run as long as his tank will allow him. Patrick Sullivan still staying out, though. Again, having a full lap lead over the entire field as he has yet to make his second pit stop for the evening. We'll see how long he wants to stretch it. His last run was 52 laps. We'll see if he chooses to go about the same. And just as I say that, he finds his way on to pit road. So we're going to look at right now, Stephen Rex in the 36 is going to be scored in third. He works his way by McRae as they're on the same lap, so score him in second. He should be in position to take over the lead once the pit stops cycle through. We'll see what kind of gap he has as everybody cycles their way through their pit stops. Sullivan and Sean Patrick, your two drivers, still on pit road. All others have completed their stops and are back on track. Got quite a few drivers still back on the same lap as they work their way around. This time by going to be completing lap 103 for Stephen Rex. He'll be looking to put himself back onto the same lap as the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. Or excuse me, he is on the same lap. He's going to be working his way, trying to get by him as Sullivan is still on pit road, receiving his service for his second stop of the evening. Slot the 36 of Stephen Rex back to the lead. Let's see how everybody else behind him sorts out and what kind of lead he has. Pretty sizable margin right now. He's got a very commanding lead as he's about 11.5 seconds ahead of the 84 of Vandermeed. We'll see though if he's able to make the fuel stretch all the way to the end, or if he will have to slow down enough to make it, or possibly come in for a third stop. Receive enough fuel to complete the distance should we go green the rest of the way. I'm going to focus back on the 84 of Vandermeed. As you see, the 84 of Vandermeed, the 17 of Silvers, and the 99 of Tyler McRae all running nose to tail for second through fourth on track. A little bit of a block there by the 17 of Vandermeed as he cut down in front of the 19. McRae was trying to look to force him up the track. James Silver said, nah, I don't think so, not right now. Tyler McRae makes just a bit of contact, does not shove either one out of the way though, gets them off and rolling. It's a bit of a bump to let you know, hey, I'm here, and may try to do something, did not appreciate that. You can see a little more contact as the 99 of McRae cuts to the inside of 17 of Silvers. Silvers has no choice, but you can see the bottom lane as they work their way out of turn 2 and onto the back stretch. McRae's going to try to use the draft of the 84 to see if he can get a run to propel himself by the 17 of Silvers. They're going to go side by side through turn 3 and 4. McRae really trying to close up to the back of the 84 of Vandermeed. He's going to try to get the 84 of Vandermeed as well, but not able to get there. Silver's going to slot in behind the 99 of McRae. Big run into turn number 1 and 2 by the 99 of McRae, works his way to the inside of Vandermeed. Vandermeed, though, maintains the position on the outside as they work their way down the back stretch into turn number 3. Gets a bit of a better run, see if he tries to protect that bottom or if he continues to take that slightly higher entry in Looks like McRae's content to ride behind him. We'll see if he tries to plan a run to the inside down the front stretch as they go. And he does. He does the same move, drafting behind the 84 Vandermeed to get as good of a run. Drives it in much deeper that time. Looks like he had to check up a little bit to try to avoid getting into the 84 Vandermeed, but still able to keep his way out. Stephen Rex having a problem. You see him off the pace. He had his own issues there as he's going to get cycled back. So this is now going to be a battle for the lead as Silvers drives it in deep. Oh, and he makes contact with the 99 of Tyler McRae. That's going to bring out your first caution of the evening. We witnessed that firsthand. James Silvers had the inside line, but looks like he may have driven in just a bit too deep and gotten into the left side of McRae, sending him for a run. See if we can pull that up in a replay. You're going to watch the 17 of James Silvers works his way to the inside of Tyler McRae going into turn number 3. Let's see what happens here. If the 99 turned down into the 17 or if the 17 just drove it in a bit too hot. You can see the 17 of Silvers trying to lock it up. It looks like he's drifting up the track a little bit as they work through 3 and 4. And you can see that right front contact in the left rear wheel of the 99, and McRae sends him sliding. Silvers and Vandermeed split their way around him as they go by. Work our way back to the live as we work our way on the first caution of the night. So right now, James Silvers will be scored as your leader, but we will wait to see if Race Control deems that to be the fault of the 17 or if they deem that to be a racing incident. Not sure if all drivers are going to choose to come in to take pits. Looks like the 19 of Blake Wynn, 36 of Stephen Rex. A few others all choosing to work their way onto pit road, get fresh tires. They've got one set remaining, so they're looking to put their last set on as well as fill it full of fuel. 17 of Vandermeed, 17 of Silvers, 84 of Vandermeed working their way on the bottom, trying to take the shortest distance away around the track, see if they can save as much fuel as possible. Got other drivers choosing to come into pit road. Looks like some people are trying to take this strategy. We'll see if the 17 of Silvers and the 84 of Vandermeed choose to give up their track position or if they're going to choose to stay out. And it looks like 17 of James Silvers is going to be given a penalty for being at fault with that incident. Oh, and the 99 of Tyler McRae just drives right into the back of the 17. I think that might have been a little bit of a hello, I'm not very happy with you. And he continues to drive up the track and get him. So we'll see. You see that McRae actually blinking out disappears from the race. So we'll see if he chose to disconnect or if he had some connection issues there. But looks like 17's the Silvers being assigned at fault for that wreck. So that'll move the 84 Vandermeed up to the lead. Not sure what happened there with Tyler McRae as he is scoring out now. Looks like he may have left. Shows his discontentment with the 17 of James Silvers. So leave Michael Vandermeed as the only driver in the top 7 to have not pitted under this caution. We'll see if that 9-lap difference in tires is going to pose itself any advantage. Also, may have to see if the rest of the field can push their way harder. The only other 2 drivers that have not stopped are the 99 of John Friley and the 553 of Timothy Johnson. Field is lined up 2 by 2. They're going to be working their way through 3 and 4, waiting for the pace car to pull off so they can get started back under green. When the pace car pulls off, that's going to leave them with 38 laps to go in this event. Got the 84 of Vandermeed on the inside of 19 of Blake Wynn. We'll see when the 84 of Vandermeed chooses to go, and he goes, and we are back under green racing. 84 Vandermeed getting a good launch. You can see an aggressive move by the 16 of Patrick Sullivan as he works his way through. We've got 2x2, 2 rows deep between the 12 of Zach Rogers, the 45 of Jason Gardner, 16 of Patrick Sullivan, and the 007 of Jeff Edgar. Jeff Edgar falling back a little bit. So all these drivers sort out nose to tail, but we've got a little bit of a difference there as James Silver's trying to work his way back up through the field as he's on the inside of the 22 of, or excuse me, the 006 of John Friley, who is a lap down, trying to approach the 22 of Sean Patrick. We've also got Jeff Edgar being worked by the 36 of Stephen Rex and Patrick Sullivan up ahead working to the inside of Jason Gardner. You can see again 2x2. This is right behind the 12 of Zach Rogers. This is a battle on track for 4th through 7th. A little bit of side-by-side contact there between the 16 of Sullivan, and he sends the 45 of Jason Gardner up in the wall. Jason Gardner keeps it going, though, so we are still green at this time. Sullivan driving his hardest, trying to work his way up through the field. He's running to the inside of Zach Rogers. Some drivers may not look fondly upon that little bit of contact there between the 16 of Patrick Sullivan and the 45 of Jason Gardner. We'll see if any tempers flare if drivers get near each other again. 36 of Stephen Rex, though, looking to get to the inside of 16 of Patrick Sullivan as they work their way through the middle of turn 3 and 4. 007 of Jeff Edgar also working to the inside of 12 of Zach Rogers. Going to run nose to tail as they work their way down the front stretch, but a great battle here for 4th through 7th on track. You can see the 007 of Jeff Edgar trying to close up to the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. Vandermeed, Wynn, and Rex are all pulling away from these drivers up front. Side by side between the 007 of Edgar and the 16 of Patrick Sullivan, they sort themselves out. Looks like we've got some front-end damage as well for the 12 of Zach Rogers. Don't think that should hurt him from a performance standpoint. Likely to not have gotten to the radiator and caused any kind of overheating issues. Go back to the front as we've got a nose-to-tail battle between the 84 of Michael Vandermeed and the 19 of Blake Wynn. They are working their way down the backstretch as they approach the entry to turn number 3. Blake Wynn's probably trying to give it all he can, size up the 84 of Vandermeed, see where he may find a weakness and see what he can do. Can see they run nose to tails. They work their way into turn 1 and 2, working lap 118 of 150. We've got just 33 laps left to go. Blake Wynn trying to look to the inside of Vandermeed's. This is a very similar scenario to what we saw in the first third of the race between Wynn and the 99 of Tyler McRae. Blake Wynn works his way to the inside. Tries to get to the inside of Vandermeed. This is also allowing the 36 of Stephen Rex to close his way back up to the front. We may be seeing a bit of a difference in the tires between Wynn and the 19 and 36 of Stephen Rex and the 84 of Michael Vandermeed. We'll see if Vandermeed can try to hold off. He's certainly having to drive the car harder to try to stay in front of the 19 of Blake Wynn. That may also be wearing his tires a little bit faster. Jeff Edgar on the 007 also trying to close up to this front 3 group, see if he can insert himself in the battle. Just as I say that, the 36 of Stephen Rex dives hard to the inside of Blake Wynn. Blake Wynn tries to take a little bit of a lower exit, try to pinch down the 36, stall his momentum out. They go side by side down the backstretch. 36 of Rex slots himself right in behind the 19 of Blake Wynn. Nose to tail for 1st through 3rd, and not very far behind that is the 007 of Jeff Edgar. Zach Rogers on pit road for an unexpected pit stop. I think that would be tied to that front end damage that we saw. Stephen Rex taking another look to the inside of Blake Wynn as they work his way through 1 and 2. He's able to clear him through the middle of 1 and 2, move the 36 of Stephen Rex up to 2nd, and the 19 of Blake Wynn back to 3rd. This allowed Vandermeed to pull away a little bit, but Stephen Rex certainly driving the hardest that he can to try to close up to Michael Vandermeed. All front four drivers are running nose to tail. About a half a car length separates each one of them. Steven Rex dives to the inside of Vandermeer, tries to take the advantage on the inside line. We'll see as they go running nose to tail, or excuse me, side by side out of turn number 2. You also saw Jeff Edgar work his way to the inside of Blake Wynn, so move Edgar up to 3rd, Blake Wynn back to 4th. Steven Rex going to try to dive to the inside again of Michael Vandermeer. Oh, side-by-side contact there as they touch wheel wells and doors. Steven Rex certainly driving his hardest, trying to do all he can. Michael Vandermeer just left to wonder what could I have done differently that time. Jeff Edgar trying to put the pressure on Michael Vandermeer as well, see if he can work his way and shuffle Vandermeer back to 3rd. Vandermeer is your highest scoring Cornerstone Motorsports driver right now. Steven Rex leading the way for Dropping Bombs Racing, and Jeff Edgar working his way in the front for Fastlane Motorsports. All 3 teams in this series that have been contending for the points lead all season long are all represented by one driver in the top 3. This is just a snapshot of how this entire season has gone as they work their way across the line to begin lap 124 of 150 here. This short run left, all drivers are certainly throwing tire saving and fuel mileage out the window, and they are working their hardest to try to get all spots that they can. You can see Vandermeer trying to work his way back to the inside, but Steven Rex cutting down, trying to cut off that inside line advanced by Vandermeer and the 007 of Jeff Edgar. Blake Wynn may be content to just sit here and ride and see who has a bit of an issue. Steven Rex gets a little bit loose off of turn 4, has to cut it down to the bottom of the track. Both Vandermeer and Jeff Edgar following his way down, but Jeff Edgar takes the high line to the outside of the 84 of Vandermeer through 1 and 2. That's going to allow Blake Wynn to try to get to the inside of him, though. He's going to look to see if he can move his way back up to 3rd. Can't quite close the deal as they work their way down the backstretch. He's going to slot back in line in 4th, but Vandermeer certainly working the pressure on the back end of the 36 of Steven Rex, trying to give him all he can handle to get his way back to the lead. They're going to come across the line to complete lap 25 or 125. They're going to have just 25 laps to go around Phoenix. Vandermeer trying to see if he can work his way to the inside of 36 of Rex, but cannot quite get there. Jeff Edgar in the 007 also working his way to the back end of Michael Vandermeer, seeing if he can find some sort of hole to try to get by him. Vandermeer splits low. Edgar takes a bit of a higher entry. We'll see if Vandermeer can get to the inside of Rex. Not quite able to do it that time off of turn 2. He cuts down hard off of turn 4. Gets a little squirrely there as they work their way down the front stretch. That allows Rex to pull away. Put Vandermeer and Jeff Edgar side by side as they work their way into turn 1. You can see Edgar trying to get that run off the corner, but Vandermeer just able to get a little bit of a better run that time, although he's working that car as hard as he can. A little squirrely there on the backstretch as well. Side by side for 2nd and 3rd, and Blake Wynn's just sitting here trying to figure out which side he needs to choose, which way is going to get him the best run. Vandermeer's able to slot back in front of Jeff Edgar as they work their way down the front stretch. It's allowed Steven Rex to pull away a little bit, but we'll see if Vandermeer can start to close the gap back up to the 36 of Rex, or if he's going to be more struggling to keep the 007 of Jeff Edgar behind him. A little bit of contact there on the back end by the 84 of Michael Vandermeer. Tries to see if he can give a shot to Steven Rex. Let him know, hey, I'm here. I'd like to work my way through. Runs side by side with Steven Rex as they work their way off of turn number 4. Side by side down the front stretch, advantage that time to Steven Rex, but Jeff Edgar with a big push on the 84 of Michael Vandermeer going into turn 1. Not sure if they made contact or if he just got very close to him on the entry. Side by side, Steven Rex with a slight advantage to the outside. We'll see who has the lead going into turn number 3. Looks like it's almost going to be a dead heat, maybe a slight advantage to Michael Vandermeer, but we'll see if Steven Rex can try to get the run off of turn number 4 as they work their way down the front stretch. This is great, intense battling up here for the front lead. All 4 drivers certainly smelling the finish, trying to get their way to the front. No driver wanting to give up, all giving their effort here. 84 of Vandermeer. Again, a little bit of door-to-door contact there with the 36 of Rex. Shoots Rex up the track slightly. Rex tries to get the run, though, as they work their way down the backstretch into the turn number 3. Side by side for the front. For a moment, it was 2 by 2 as Blake Wynn was working his way to the outside. He slots back in behind the 007 of Jeff Edgar. Again, close racing as they work their way down the front stretch. Neither Vandermeed nor Rex is going to give this up. Jeff Edgar again with the big run. You can see him sticking that nose as close as he can to the back end of Michael Vandermeed to try to get the run, see if he can slide his way underneath the 36 of Steven Rex. Vandermeed trying to get a little bit of better run, not going to quite clear him. We'll see if he can do it, and he does clear him this time into turn number 3. So put the 84 Michael Vandermeed back to the lead, 36 of Steven Rex back to second. We'll see if Jeff Edgar tries to close his way back to the 36 of Rex, and if Rex chooses to defend that position as hard as he can, or try to mount a charge back on the 84 of Michael Vandermeed. We've got just 19 laps to go here in the event tonight. These front 4 have separated themselves out, although the 17 of James Silvers, the 22 of Sean Patrick, and the 16 of Patrick Sullivan are trying to close their way back up. They've got about a second and a half to close down, so it's certainly going to take them a few laps to get back here. Front 4 have kind of chosen to sort themselves out single file. Now Blake Wynn was able to work his way by the 007 of Jeff Edgar, so your current 4 are the 84 of Vandermeed, the 36 of Steven Rex, the 19 of Blake Wynn, and the 007 of Jeff Edgar. They work their way down the backstretch going into turn number 3. Last time by, Silver's able to close about a tenth and a half on Jeff Edgar, but not able to pick up any pace compared to the front 3. We'll see what it is this time by. This time by, give the advantage to Jeff Edgar. Steven Rex, as I say that, though, pulls to the inside of Michael Vandermeed. They're going to go side by side once again down the backstretch. Vandermeed with the run on the outside, but not quite able to pull down in front of the 36 of Rex. They're going to go side by side into turn 3, sorted out single file. Blake Wynn thought he had a moment to look to the inside of Vandermeed as well, move himself up to second, but they all slot back 1 through 4 again. Steven Rex trying to get the run down the front stretch, pull to the inside of Vandermeed. Not quite able to make it happen that time into turn number 1. Has to bail on that, try to get his way back into second in front of the 19 of Blake Wynn. Keep it here on these front 4 as they are providing a great battle as they work their way through the middle of turn 3 and 4. Work their way out of turn number 4 down the front stretch as we've got just 15 laps to go tonight. Great battles up front. These drivers are certainly giving it their all, trying to do all they possibly can to find a way to the front. I think at this point, fuel and tire saving strategy has been thrown out the window. These guys are just giving it everything they possibly can. Side by side, Blake Wynn trying to look to the outside of Steven Rex as they work their way into turn number 3, but still the 84 of Vandermeed, the 36 of Rex in first and second, 19 of Blake Wynn in third, and the 007 of Jeff Edgar in fourth. Steven Rex trying to close up to the back bumper of Michael Vandermeed. Dives it into the corner a little bit harder, doesn't get quite as good of a runoff, allow Vandermeed to pull away, and that also allows the 19 of Blake Wynn to close back up. Drivers are trying different lines, trying to get an advantage over the drivers in front where they can, so that's why you're seeing them kind of close together and then pull back out as drivers are taking different braking points into the corners as well as different apexes and points that they pick the throttle back up to try to get their best run off the corner as possible. Steven Rex just a little bit further back this time of the 84 of Michael Vandermeed. You can see back in the distance, James Silvers leads the group of Silvers. Sean Patrickson, 22, and the 16 of Patrick Sullivan. They are trying to close their way back up. They are about a second, just under a second and a half off the back of Jeff Edgar. We've got side-by-side between Blake Wynn and Steven Rex for second and third on track. Blake Wynn taking the inside line, working their way into turn number 1. See who has the advantage going into turn number 1. Blake Wynn certainly drives in it hard, but Steven Rex not willing to give up the outside. Give the advantage this time, though, to Blake Wynn as his team owner, Jeff Edgar, tries to slot in behind him and shuffle Steven Rex back to 4th place on track. Jeff Edgar working to the inside of Steven Rex as they work their way through the middle of 3 and 4, off of 3 and 4. Jeff Edgar diving down to the bottom, trying to get the run. Steven Rex, though, with a good fight on the outside. He slots in right behind Blake Wynn, trying to use the draft, but Jeff Edgar taking the inside line away, drives it in deep there. You see him having to check up a little bit, but Steven Rex trying to fight hard on the outside, gain what he can. Certainly going to be a good battle. Jeff Edgar finally able to clear in front of Steven Rex, so put Jeff up to 3rd on track and Steven Rex back to 4th on track. Also allowed James Silvers in the 17 to close up ever so slightly, but we've got just 9 laps to go as Vandermeed works back into turn number 1. He leads Blake Wynn by a 1/4 of a second this time through 1 and 2. See if Blake Wynn can mount any kind of charge as he takes his shot at Michael Vandermeed. Uses all the track that he can out of turn 2, though, on the backstretch, cuts it back to the bottom. You seeing him trying to take much higher entries into the corner, trying to cut his way to the bottom to see if he can work to the inside of Michael Vandermeed. These front 3 are just separating themselves ever so slightly from the 36 of Steven Rex, about a 1/4 of a second, but most of these drivers in the front 4 are still about the same distance apart, so very, very close racing up front. Blake Wynn trying to work his way to the inside of Michael Vandermeed in the corner, get the best run that he can. Just not quite able to close enough yet, but he's certainly chopping away at that gap. Last time by was 700ths of a second faster than the 84 of Vandermeed. We'll see what the difference is this time by as they work their way out of turn number 4 onto the front stretch. Coming across the line to have 7 laps to go. This time by 2/10 or 200ths of a second advantage for Michael Vandermeed over Blake. When you see Blake drive it in deep, just as I say that, Steven Rex says, I'm not done with this battle. He's trying to insert his way back into this. We've got this 4-car fight. Jeff Edgar trying to work to the outside of Blake Wynn. Looks like he was just taking a bit of an alternative line there. This allows Vandermeed to pull away just slightly, opens up the gap by about 300ths compared to the last time by. Give Vandermeed the advantage with 6 laps to go. See if he can hang on to it. These are probably going to feel like the longest 6 laps of his week for sure, as he has been under intense pressure from both the 19 of Blake Wynn and the 36 of Steven Rex for the last 40 laps or so. Steven Rex trying to look to the inside of Jeff Edgar as Jeff Edgar took the high line through 3 and 4, moves Steven Rex to the inside. See if he can clear him as they work their way down the front stretch. They still run side by side. Blake Wynn going to take a dive to the inside on Vandermeed, try to get on him. They go side by side through turn 1 and 2. We'll see who has the advantage off of turn 2 down the back stretch. Give that slight advantage to Michael Vandermeed, but he's not quite able to pull in front of Blake Wynn in the 19. They're going to go side by side for 1st and 2nd into turn number 3. We've got side by side for 3rd and 4th behind. This is some of the best racing we have seen all night up front. Rex is able to clear the 007 of Jeff Edgar. He's going to try to follow behind these two. Contact between the 19 of Blake Wynn and the 84 of Michael Vandermeed. Wynn gets him loose. We go 3 wide into turn number 1. Contact again between the 19 and 84. That sends Vandermeed up the track. Jeff Edgar is going to try to take advantage of that, get to the inside. Move Blake Wynn up to the front. Steven Rex up to 2nd. Michael Vandermeed's trying to push his hardest on the outside as you have Jeff Edgar driving to the inside. This has been some very hard racing. With coming across the line to have 3 to go, these drivers are throwing everything out the window. No caution. Any moves that they can make to try to gain whatever positions possible, they are going to do. We still got side by side between the 007 of Jeff Edgar and Michael Vandermeed as they work their way through turn 1 and 2. We'll see if the 007 can clear his way in front of the 84 of Vandermeed. They are still side by side as they work their way down the back stretch. Vandermeed gets into the wall on his entry into turn number 3. That's going to give Jeff Edgar the advantage, allow him to clear in front of him. But Vandermeed comes pushing back on the outside. We'll see if he gets the run down the front stretch. May have made a bit of contact there with the outside wall as well out of turn 4 on the front stretch. Steven Rex going to dive to the inside of Blake Wynn as they work their way through turn 1 and 2. We've got just a lap and a half left to settle this battle tonight. Contact between the 36 and the 19 shoots the 36 down the track. Blake Wynn holds his line. Steven Rex going to try to work his way back to the inside. Those two are running about as close as you can get without contact. Maybe a bit of door-to-door rubbing there between the two drivers. They are certainly driving as hard as they possibly can. We're getting the white flag this time by. We've got 2x2 for the front four. No driver is willing to back out at this point. 84 works his way to the inside of the 007 for third. Steven Rex trying to clear himself in front of the 19 of Blake Wynn for the lead. They go side by side. All four drivers are within a tenth and a half each other. We're going to go three wide as Michael Vandermeer looks to shoot to the inside. That's going to shuffle Blake Wynn to the back. A little bit of contact between the 84 and the 19. That might have been a little bit of payback. Gives Steven Rex the advantage off of turn 4. Don't think Michael Vandermeer's going to get to the front. Steven Rex is going to cross the line as your winner. Michael Vandermeer's going to be in third. And Jeff Edgar in the 007 is going to bring it home in third. We're going to let all drivers cool themselves down, settle down. We'll see if there's any celebration for the 36 of Steven Rex, and we will see if we can get the three of them into the front. We'll get them into the booth, but certainly a great battle the last 5 laps of this event. You're going to see the 36 of Steven Rex burning it down. We will give these drivers a moment and see if we can get them all up into the booth here shortly to do interviews with your race winner, Rex, second place finisher, Michael Vandermeer, and third place finisher of Jeff Edgar. Certainly great battles on track. Give these drivers just a minute to collect themselves. I'll pull up the 007 of Jeff Edgar into the booth. It's just 1 minute. We'll get him in here. I've got with me the 007 of Jeff Edgar, your third place finisher. You got a copy of me, Jeff?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Wow, what a battle we saw on track there. That was probably some of the best racing I have seen this entire season for the Pro Street Stock Series. Tell me, how did those last 10 laps feel on track for you?
They lasted about 100 laps. It was long, grueling, but it was fun and exciting as hell.
Did you feel like there was a lot of fuel strategy in play today in tonight's event? We've seen that all season long with some of these. Did you feel like you were able to push it harder tonight, or did you have to save to try to execute your strategy?
I did not have to save a whole lot, and the caution came out, so that kind of concealed that for me. I was good after that.
Did you have any kind of preconceived notions to work with certain people tonight, or try to work your way to the front, or was it all hands on deck at the last few laps and every man for himself?
No, it was pretty much every man for himself. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but I got into my teammate there pretty good a couple of times. I didn't come to finish 5th.
Well, certainly great effort. That was very, very great racing there at the end. Anybody you'd like to say thanks to or give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, my teammates. I got Patrick Sullivan, got Blake Wynn, got Big John Friley back there. we all help each other out on the track and in the garage, all that kind of stuff.
Certainly a great effort on your part tonight. Congrats on the third place finish. Great way to close out the season. Good talking to you.
Thanks, buddy.
We are going to get our second place finisher, Stephen Rex, up in the booth here. I've got with me driver of the number 36, second place, Stephen Rex. Stephen, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy, but I think I won that second. At least I hope.
Yes, that was certainly a great finish. Yeah, great finish out there. Sorry, I do apologize. You were the race winner. I apologize for that. But yeah, certainly a great finish. Very intense last 10 or 15 laps. How did you feel through that battle the rest of the way?
Well, I thought I might have pushed it a little bit early, and I didn't know if I was going to have anything at the end. So I backed up a little bit. I think I was running like fourth. And then I'm like, all right, whatever, 6 to go, 5 to go. I'm like, I'm going to go and see what I got. And it was good racing. It was good, hard racing. Everybody was, using a little bumper, little door, but nothing to take nobody out, just to move them up. And, that's racing, especially the season finale, the last 5 laps. I mean, my heart was racing, I tell you that.
Yeah, that was definitely a very good battle there. So we saw you pit a couple laps earlier before the cautions started coming out. Did you have that as a pre-planned strategy, or were you just trying to differentiate yourself from the field, see if you could gain any advantage on those fresh tires after that?
You know what it actually was? I was last minute to get in. I got no practice. I threw in the setup, ran qualifying, started third. I shorted myself on fuel. So if we didn't get that yellow at the end, I might not have. I would have been close, but I don't know if I would have made it. I was trying to save. So no, that wasn't my plan. I just had to come in and take 0.3 in gas and come back out. And I put 4 tires on.
You definitely executed that very well. Did you feel like that you had any advantage that you could size up on the track for taking a different line? We saw some drivers using a little bit different approaches, some entering a little bit higher into the corners and then apexing a little later, some opting for that lower entry into the corner and then apexing a little bit sooner and exiting higher. Did you feel like one line gave you an advantage over the other tonight?
Not really. If you went really low in one, the high side was going to roll on you. So you had to try to keep it up. But if there was anybody swinging, at least for me, if I was swinging wide, it was because I was trying to save tires for the end.
Well, certainly great effort tonight. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or a thanks to before we let you go for the evening?
Yeah, all the guys that we work on setups with over at Riding Dirty and DBR. Good group of guys. I mean, all we race is open setup stuff. And, I don't know if Tyler wrapped up the championship here this year. I won it last year in the inaugural season. I couldn't make all the races this year, but I think I got a couple wins in just a few races. So I'm happy with our performance this year.
Well, very good effort tonight. Way to close out the season with a victory. We will let you go for the evening. Nice run tonight, and congrats on a very successful season for you this year.
Yep. Thank you for broadcasting, and thank James for putting all this on. All you guys that I can't think of everybody's name right now, but that help out with this. It's fun. I appreciate your guys' time.
Well, certainly glad to talk to you tonight. Best of luck in the future, Stephen.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, again, apologize for that error that we pulled the race winner in first. We will get Michael Vandermeed on the line to get our second place finisher in with us. I've got with me driver of the 84 Cornerstone Motorsports Chevy, Michael Vandermeed, our second place finisher tonight. You got a copy, Michael?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear.
Certainly a great effort tonight. We saw you oftentimes anywhere from first all the way back to starting a little bit deeper in the field. Tell me, when you started a little bit further back than most races, did you feel like you had to push a little bit harder to work your way to the front, or did you want to stay back and kind of conserve tires and fuel off the beginning?
Well, to be honest, I was racing the track really bad. And halfway through that first fuel run, I figured out, oh, I'm being stupid. I'm not going in hard enough.
Well, we definitely saw an improvement out of you. Those last 40 laps after that caution were certainly some of the most intense we saw all week and all night. Did you feel like you were sitting duck when you saw everybody else come to pit road to get a fresh set of tires and top off on fuel, or did you feel like you were still in a good spot leading the race at that point?
I think I had a car that could have won on old tires. It just them last 5 or 10 laps we got so racy. It didn't matter on how old my tires were, you know.
Well,
But it was really good. That was a fantastic run to end the season.
yeah, that was certainly a very intense battle. Was that caution to the win on that last lap when you threw it to the inside going 3 wide, or was that a pre-planned move that you might have had?
Well, I figured I'll send it, and then right as I hit the apron, I was like, no, this probably isn't a good idea. So I backed out of it because I didn't want to wreck first, third, and fourth in one move.
Yeah, that was a very great battle between the front 4 to finish out the race. Anybody you want to say thank you to or send a shout out to before we let you go for the evening?
I just got to thank our sponsors, Function Junction, Sorrells Marathon. They're the ones that they don't make it happen, but they make it a little bit easier.
Very well said.
Oh, and I'm sorry, one more. The WNC Aerial Photography and Team Goon Squad for making it all come together.
Very well said. Congrats on a successful finish to the season, both for the season and this race individually. Great run tonight. Look forward to talking to you more in the future.
All right, appreciate it. You have a good one.
Thanks. All right, that is going to wrap up our interviews tonight. We are going to pull up our race results and take a look at your final standings. We can see Steven Rex in the 36 bringing it home for dropping bombs. Michael Vandermeet in the 84 bringing it home in second for Cornerstone Motorsports. Jeff Edgar in the 007 for Fastlane Motorsports bringing it home in third. Blake Wynn coming home in fourth in the 19. And Sean Patrick in the 22 able to work his way up to fifth. He was your hard charger of the evening. So great run by all of these drivers. Certainly a very successful season 2 of the Team Goons Gone Pro Street Stock Series, sponsored by Tri-E-Coolers, and I am glad to have had all of you here for this finale. Glad to bring it to you. Can't wait to bring another exciting season for you. Look for more in the future as the season comes back bigger and stronger. And thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight throughout the entire season and supported these drivers all the way. Until the next time, my name is Jacob Fiskanen on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, wishing you the best of luck and a great night. Thanks for watching.